Hello, and welcome to Move Your Organization from Cloud Chaos to Cloud Smart with the VMware Cloud Operating Model. Today's webinar is sponsored by VMware and produced by Actual Tech Media. I'm Keith Ward. I'm with Actual Tech Media, and I am really excited to be your moderator for this special event. It's going to be a great discussion today. Before we get to the content, though, we do have a couple of housekeeping items that'll help you get the most out of this session. Starting off, we want this to be an informative event, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in your webinar control panel. That's also the place where you're letting us know where you're logging in from today, and we see you from everywhere. I'm seeing Corey from Wisconsin, Justin also from sunny Wisconsin. So glad to hear that it's sunny. I hope it's sunny for Corey as well. We are seeing Courtney from Ohio. We are seeing Angie from Arkansas, and we see Ali from Maryland, my neck of the woods. Great to have you all on today. Keep letting us know where you're logging in from. It's really good to see you. All right. Now that Q&A panel where you're telling us where you're from is also the place to let us know about any technical issues you start having. A browser refresh is the first thing to do. So if things disappear, if things are not working right, you're not hearing or seeing anything, just give your browser a refresh and that should take care of it. If that doesn't fix it, let us know in that Q&A and we will get someone on that right away. All right, handouts. I've got some important handouts in the handouts section, which is right next to the questions tab in that control panel. There you will find numerous important resources, including a link to how to get started with VMware. So check out those handouts. You'll find a lot of really great stuff there, including a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club, where you can get access to our huge library of printed resources on technology topics. Now, I was actually an editor for a lot of those, so I really encourage you to check that out. You'll also find in the handout section a link to the ATM Events Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events, and quite a calendar it is. Take a look and see if there are events that are going to interest you. I bet there's probably a number of them. Look over what we got and sign up if you see something interesting. All right. Finally, at the end of this webinar, we will be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one of you lucky registrants. Now remember that you have to be in attendance during the entire live event to qualify for the prize. Official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found in the handouts section, and we will be doing that after today's presentation. And that is where we are going now. Enough of the boring stuff for me. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter today, Mandy Storbakken, a Solutions Architecture Director with VMware. Mandy, I think, is ready to go, so I am going to turn everything over to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Keith. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for having me. I am Mandy Storbakken. I am at VMware. I've been with VMware for about 7 years, and I'm going to share our perspective and some of my own experiences to try and help you determine how to move to a cloud smart model for your multi-cloud environments. So this is what we're seeing for our customers in terms of a typical customer journey to the cloud. There were some lines of business or application teams or internal teams typically that were the first to the cloud. And we started to see very quickly the benefits of being able to access those resources, those pools of resources quickly, to be able to be more agile, and actually, quite frankly, to kind of circumvent some of those processes that were inherent in getting resources internally. And in time then, we ended up having to deliver some of those same kinds of solutions ourselves. And so we became, in terms of an IT organization, so it became cloud first or first cloud, whether that was your private cloud or your use of public cloud resources, or even moving into that hybrid cloud space. So there were some early successes that kind of moved this use of cloud quite quickly within our customers. But what happened was that more cloud did not necessarily equal more value. And so as our customers started to adopt more cloud services across more cloud hypervisors, and and different types of cloud services, we found that those early successes slowed down considerably, and actually their environments just became much more complex, and the greater choice that was available, each additional cloud that was added to a customer's environment added additional complexity. So the early benefits of cloud, lower costs, faster time to value, ended up not coming to fruition the more cloud environments a customer added. And so where we're helping our customers get to today, and where we've worked hard to get to internally ourselves, is what we at VMware call Cloud Smart. And that is where we get to a point where we're again able to take advantage of those benefits of cloud, where we can select the right cloud for the right app, where we can apply consistency in management and governance and policy across those disparate cloud environments, and where we can have a cost-effective use of cloud services and not find those costs spiraling out of control. But before I go into our solutions in that space, I want to talk a little bit about our own journey at VMware. Not only are we a software company that has had to change our internal ways of operating ourselves, in that our solutions are now all available in a SaaS format, for example, obviously hosted in the public cloud. But we've also changed both the solution sets that we offer and the personas that we interact with and that we develop solutions for. So you probably all know us from a couple of decades now as the virtualization leader, as the ESX and ESXi and vSphere, and then VDI with the virtual desktops with EUC. And then we moved into virtualizing the entire data center. So the software-defined data center, most of you are familiar with, if not using VMware Cloud Foundation, which includes our software-defined components, including storage, including network, our automation with our vRealize solution. But what you may not be aware of is we've now moved into our third wave. And this is where we believe that we are uniquely positioned to be your multi-cloud leader. Now, that might sound odd because you know that we don't have cloud services ourselves that we are selling you. But I think that puts us in a unique position because we want to solve the complexity of multi-cloud for you. We have great partnerships with the hyperscalers. We understand your enterprise. 80% of your enterprise workloads already work on VMware, on our vSphere platform. And we work with more and more personas within your organization than ever before. So now we're working closely with your cloud platform team, with your cloud center of excellence, and with your developers to really bring a holistic set of solutions to simplify the complexity of multi-cloud so that you can focus on delivering solutions to your own customers. So let's take a quick look at the challenge of multi-cloud. As I mentioned, we have this cloud-first approach, oil-first cloud approach, where whether it was the IT department themselves or the line of business or the developer team started to use the public cloud and saw some early benefits, some really positive outcomes from that early use of cloud, which accelerated the path to cloud for most of our customers. In fact, 87% of the enterprises that we talk to use 2 or more clouds today, many more if you include private cloud and hybrid cloud. What this ends up doing is creating this disparate set of resources across these different clouds, which means while you have greater choice, you have greater complexity because they are all slightly different, as you already know. And now you find yourself with different management and governance components across these different environments, different security and networking stacks, different ways of accessing these environments, different concepts in terms of infrastructure. Add that to your development teams who now have to develop their applications slightly differently for each of these environments because of these differences in the underlying components, and then add the disjointed networking and user access components. And this is what we call cloud chaos, where instead of being much more efficient with this use of public cloud and being able to benefit from the flexibility that it brings you, you end up getting bogged down in the complexity of having to manage these disparate environments. So this is cloud chaos. This is where we have these disparate environments. We're not able to manage them consistently. We may have lack of visibility and not even really know what we have running out in these different environments. The benefits that we had originally seen in terms of lowering cost, increasing agility, and some of those kinds of things have slowed down or stopped altogether. Migrations are slower than our leadership teams had anticipated. And refactoring and rebuilding workloads and applications for the cloud is much more difficult, I think, than most of us anticipated. And this is where many customers is in cloud chaos. And so we as VMware know that a new approach is required, where we provide an abstraction layer to simplify and unify across these different types of cloud platforms. So let's talk a little bit about what that solution consists of. Because if we take these different layers from which are causing us this complexity across these different types of clouds, and look at them, step back and take a look, we are actually trying to solve the same problem across all of these different cloud providers. In terms of application development, we need to be able to develop applications quickly, consistently, efficiently, effectively, without having to worry about those differences in the underlying cloud platforms. We want to be able to manage these workloads, whether it's in terms of optimizing, monitoring, alerting, automating the deployment of these workloads, automating the security of these workloads. We need to be able to do that consistently wherever these workloads live. We want to be able to have consistency across our infrastructure so that we can move workloads around seamlessly, and so that we are able to manage these workloads also consistently using the tools and the subject matter expertise that we already have without having to retool or retrain. We want to be able to create security and networking policy that applies across the board wherever these workloads live and not have to worry about the underlying platforms. And we want to be able to run our applications and access our applications anywhere across any cloud. And so these are the 5 pillars that we as an organization have talked to our customers about and determined that these are the most important areas that we can provide value, and where we have focused our efforts on building solutions to help customers be successful across clouds in these areas. And we call these our VMware Cross Cloud Services. And some of these are us bringing together existing capabilities and solutions under a consistent umbrella with tighter integrations and more consistent operating methods. And some of these are new capabilities that we're also building across one of these different areas. So the application platform, just on a terminology perspective, is mostly our Tanzu portfolio, if you're familiar with that. Cloud management, which I'm mostly going to talk about today, is our ARIA portfolio of capabilities. Cloud and edge infrastructure falls under our VMware Cloud set of solutions. Security and networking is our NSX and Carbon Black portfolio. And then, of course, Anywhere Workspace is our Horizon set of solutions. So we believe that with this portfolio of cloud services, we can help you build, operate, access, and secure any app on any cloud. And this is what we call Cloud Smart. And once you're Cloud Smart, you're able to choose the right cloud for the right app. You're able to apply consistent management and governance with security and controls. And you are able to be more cost efficient in your use of private and public clouds. So, from where we are today, typically cloud chaos, disparate dev, ops, and security for the different silos. We move to a place where we are able to accelerate our application development across clouds with automation, secure controls, and consistency. Where today we have siloed cloud teams to manage our siloed cloud infrastructure, we now have cost-efficient, consistent infrastructure where we can apply consistent policy and management and optimization across those different environments. And today, where our developers have a fragmented access and development experience, we move to a more secure, frictionless access experience. So that's holistically VMware and how we're solving these solutions for you across the multi-cloud. Today, I'm going to specifically talk around about the VMware Cloud Operating Model, which is our best practices, our operational best practices for multi-cloud, which is mostly our ARIA portfolio of solutions, but also encompasses the other pillars. I'm going to touch on the consistent infrastructure with VMware Cloud a little bit, but I'm mostly going to focus on cloud management with ARIA. So what we found over the past few years, it's always been true, but it's never been more clear than during the pandemic, is that agility is critical to survival. We've always heard survival of the fittest, but actually it's survival of the most agile. And those organizations that were able to pivot and adjust very quickly during the pandemic, whether it was from a restaurant serving food in-house to takeout and delivery, whether it was a grocery store very quickly being able to do online shopping, whether it was an organization that had gone from being in the office constantly to pivoting very quickly to working from home. Those organizations that were able to adapt quickly were the ones that survived and thrived. And in order to adapt quickly, we need agility. And so cloud transformation has always promised this level of technical agility, and that has driven businesses to increase their use of cloud services. But it also has technology drivers in being able to maybe quickly reduce the technology debt of on-premise data centers and address a skills shortage that has been here forever, but got more prevalent during the pandemic. So not only is the use of cloud services inevitable, but also the use of multi-cloud services is inevitable for most IT organizations. And that's because when you look at your application strategy, you are going to approach it on an application by application basis, and not all applications are going to have the same strategy. Some simply you will want to re-platform to a more modern platform and get rid of some of that tech debt. Some are going to be prime candidates to refactor or rebuild with cloud native components and really take advantage of the new way of building applications for the cloud. Some of them you're just going to want to migrate as is, lift and shift essentially. Some will just stay as they are until they die on the vine, and some will be retired or moved into a SaaS solution. So you're going to have a variety of different solutions and strategies for these different applications. The trouble is, as we all know, in IT, agility is not the only strategic priority. So we've had a big push for agility, whether it's through our DevOps movement in the past, or whether it's through this rush to cloud during the pandemic, or whether it's just through the huge increase in the dependency on mobile applications and technology in general. But it's not the only priority that our IT organizations have to contend with. We're also constantly being asked to increase efficiency in terms of reducing or managing costs effectively, improving the customer experience, and being able to sustain growth. And in addition to that, we're being asked to decrease risk. This is more critical than ever to both protect our brand and our assets and our customer data, to maintain regulatory compliance across our different businesses, and to ensure business continuity should a disaster occur. And so as we move into trying to reduce the complexity of multi-cloud, we have those other strategic priorities weighing on us and having to be taken into consideration as well. So what we have to do is reduce some of this complexity, because without it, we have inconsistent operational processes across our environments. We have different security profiles and constructs that may not even be well understood. We have incompatible infrastructure. We have visibility and policy gaps, and you can't secure what you can't see. We have a lack of cloud skills in general, and subject matter expertise. And even when we do decide to refactor our applications or move them into native constructs, we have retooling overhead and we have the refactoring overhead as well. And then even if we have a strategic use of multiple clouds and we understand the complexities that we have to deal with and we feel like we have a handle on it, there's still these questions that we often can't actually answer. Which applications should we deploy to which cloud? How are we making those decisions? What data are we using to make those decisions? Are we consistently applying policies across our clusters and clouds? Each group may know that they are securing their workloads in their siloed cloud environments, but how can leadership be sure that we're consistently applying these similar policies across the entire environment? Are we prudently optimizing cost versus performance, or are we having islands of resources that are unable to be used efficiently and effectively? And do we have a global view of our cost, security, and performance across all of our platforms and clouds? And in many cases, the answer is no. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about operational best practices as we move into this multi-cloud world. And what's interesting about this slide is that there's actually no technology on it. And an operating model, as you all know, is a mix of people, process, and technology. And I'm definitely going to talk about the technology. But first, it's important to understand how we and our customers have been successful when preparing for multi-cloud. And the first step is to have a cohesive and a comprehensive multi-cloud strategy. And it's not just enough to have this strategy, we need to communicate it across our lines of business, across our users, so that we are all aligned on the business strategy, our application strategy, and our financial strategy, so that we all have an understanding of the objectives of the move to cloud, what we're trying to achieve, and that we are all on board with that. And then the multi-cloud strategy will be taken by your cloud center of excellence, and some organizations call it something different, but ultimately there should be a team who is responsible for the implementation of that strategy, for making sure that governance and policy and cost management is consistent across your different environments. And what we found through working with our customers on their cloud strategy for a decade is there are three main areas in which customers need to mature in their use of cloud services. And the first and foremost is usually financial management, when that big bill comes into leadership and that big sticker shock, trying to get those costs under control. But then there's operational excellence, trying to get more efficient and optimize your workloads across those different kinds of environments. And then more than ever, security and compliance, making sure that we're applying our security and policy best practices, not just in our on-premises data centers, but also across our public cloud providers. And then finally, implement a cloud operating model. And that's what we're talking about today. And that's where we mature our operational practices from the operational practices that were in use when we were an IT organization with our siloed network storage and compute departments, to really modernizing and adjusting to be able to get the best use of of cloud services. And so here we find that the areas that our customers really look to us to help them with is getting visibility across those different cloud environments, being able to optimize those different environments, workloads across those different environments, applying, again, consistent governance and automation. And once we've matured in those areas, we can really start to look at business integration with our different pillars of capabilities. So what we term as the VMware Cloud operating model has a few different pieces to it. But when we look at what ARIA brings, it really brings two distinct but connected sets of capabilities to our customers. Now, the first is to the VMware, the existing vSphere environments, or the new vSphere environments with VMware Cloud. And that is to transform those vSphere software-defined data centers into true clouds, to add those capabilities that really take your virtualized infrastructure and make it a cloud, the pooling of resources, the automation that will allow self-service of resources on those environments, to really give you that cloud experience out of the box. And then the second part that we bring, which are less well known, I think, are the ability to unify management across multiple clouds. So we have this expertise in the data center already. We've been helping customers build private clouds and hybrid clouds for a decade. But now we've extended those solutions to public cloud, native public cloud, not just our VMware Cloud on the hyperscalers, to really offer those same capabilities that you know and trust. So align your cloud operations with your private cloud, your hybrid cloud, and across the different pillars of your public cloud. So now we're talking about a single control plane. This is essentially what we're talking about across clouds. And when we look at the capabilities that customers need to really have that single control plane, what makes sense to be a capability that abstracts the complexity of the multi-cloud providers and brings into some level of consistency across those different environments. These are the things that we land on. And so I'll talk a little bit more in the next slide about the infrastructure in the purple box, which is our VMware Cloud, which is a consistent vSphere software-defined data center in the hyperscalers. But we don't stop there. We actually offer these capabilities for native public cloud objects too, across Azure, AWS, and Google. And so those fall into three distinct areas which align with our ARIA solutions for automation, operations, and cost. So for optimization, for performance, for automation and security. And so you can see all of the capabilities in here, and there are many more that fall into those areas and into those solution sets that we are solving for our customers across their environments, wherever those workloads live. So the first one that I touched on was VMware Cloud. And if you're not familiar with what VMware Cloud is, it's our software-defined vSphere stack with NSX and vSAN, our software-defined storage and networking solutions, running in your on-premises environment, running across one of our partner clouds, and actually running natively across the hyperscalers too. And I don't have Oracle Cloud on here, but I think I do on other slides. That's also one that's available. So all of the major hyperscalers offer a vSphere solution running directly on their hardware. And the benefits here are that the solution is known and trusted. As I mentioned, most of you are running 80% or more of your enterprise workloads on vSphere. So it's consistent and familiar in terms of the tooling, in terms of the concepts, in terms of optimizing them. It's deeply integrated both back onto your on-premises workloads and into the public cloud environments themselves. It's simple to get turned up or turned down. It's easy to migrate workloads from one environment to another. They're all vSphere. They're all on the ESXi hypervisor, needs no refactoring or retooling, and it's extremely flexible. And so while many customers started off looking at VMware Cloud as a way to quickly move out of their self-managed data centers into the hyperscalers, maybe as a first step, and then to take the second step of moving into those native constructs, most of them have decided that actually this is a pretty good way to run their workloads, and swapping out the hypervisor doesn't really bring any value necessarily. And even some of them have found that just running the kind of this lift and shift workloads to the cloud, maybe now that the supply chain issues of the pandemic have eased up, or they've realized that the cloud is not as cost efficient as they had hoped, are looking to move workloads back. And this is the easiest way to maintain that flexibility, to be able to move not just from one cloud to another, but back on premises should you decide to. So then on top of VMware Cloud comes VMware Aria. And this is a rebranding essentially of our cloud management portfolio to begin with. So as we've realized that our customers like us no longer look at private cloud and public cloud separately, but as one pool of resources, we've brought together our cloud management solutions. So Cloud Health, which is our cost solution for public cloud workloads, with vRealize, which is our on-prem cloud management solutions to build and operationalize your private clouds. We've brought those together with the intentionality that they will consistently manage all of your clouds, private, hybrid, and public, and your edge workloads. And so we have these three pillars which align very closely to the capabilities that I talked about earlier in that single control plane slide: cost, operations, and automation. So let's take a quick look at just operations, for example. So here's the cloud services portal that when you start using our SaaS solutions, when you start using our solutions in SaaS, all of our solutions are available through the cloud services platform or the cloud services portal. And so here you will see not only the services that you are entitled to, that you are subscribed to, but you can also see the other services that are available to you should you decide to subscribe to them through here as well. But I'm going to jump into operations, and we are going to take a look at the new operations, because many of you are already familiar with the capabilities around observability, cost, capacity, compliance, and sustainability for your vSphere workloads across vSphere, vSAN, NSX, your software-defined data center. And of course, VMware Cloud on the hyperscalers, because it's essentially vSphere. And so we're also able to manage those in the same way. But what you might not be familiar with is that we've worked very hard to extend these same capabilities that you know and trust to the native cloud also across AWS, Azure, and Google. And so if we take a look here at a multi-cloud overview, this is as close to a single pane of glass, I think, as we've got. You can see that it brings it together, those siloed environments across those multiple different cloud disciplines, into a place where you can look consistently across your objects, your capacity planning, your alerts. In addition to that, we've also added this sustainability for VMware Cloud that is very interesting to lots of our customers. And I just want to click on this quickly and give you a quick view of the green score, which is available for VMware Cloud and will help you with your sustainability efforts. Now, if we look here in troubleshooting and workbench and all the goodness that has been long been in vRealize operations, which of course is now Aria operations, these capabilities still exist, but now we offer them across your public, hybrid cloud, public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, and edge cloud environments. And then we've continued working hard to bring more and more developer capabilities so that they can directly access the great data and information that we have in the solution to extend their own capabilities. And so because of the time today, I could go into kind of the additional public cloud capabilities in ARIA automation too. But I really wanted to take the time that I have to talk to you about ARIA Hub, because while some of the announcements around VMware ARIA were certainly around rebranding and bringing that portfolio of cloud management solutions together, there's a really important part of those announcements that's brand new capabilities and functionality that we didn't have before, that was announced at VMware Explore last year and is available, some of the capabilities available today in a free tier, which you are able to try yourself, and which I'm going to give you a link to at the end of this presentation. So there is a new capability, a new solution as part of the ARIA portfolio called ARIA Hub, and it's powered by ARIA Graph, and it's a SaaS solution that is a consistent data store of all of the different assets that you have across multi-cloud. It brings them together, it builds the relationships between them in a graph database, it allows access through a graph UI, a graph API for developers to be able to get access to this data, and it's federated so that in the future we can start to bring in other data sources and build out those contextual relationships too. So what this allows us to do is build solutions that built net new, brand new solutions that we were unable to build in the past. And so there are 3 that are available today that are available because of ARIA Hub. And so the first one is called Guardrails, and that allows us to deliver those consistent governance and policy capabilities across those different cloud providers, where it will take advantage of the policy and governance of the individual clouds, but there will be a higher level policy within Guardrails, which will make sure that those policies are being enforced in each of those disparate cloud environments. And I'm going to give you a very quick whiz through one of those environments too. There's ARIA Migration that is going to give you a clean and concise way of moving your applications from cloud to cloud. Today, we have capabilities for assessing what it would take to move from your on-prem vSphere environment to a VMware Cloud environment, VMware Cloud on AWS environment. But we have plans to extend that further, both to public cloud endpoints and back to vSphere. And so that assessment is available today as a free assessment using various underlying solutions that have been brought together through ARIA Hub to map your applications or your resources into applications to help assess what that footprint would look like in a VMware Cloud on AWS environment, and then to actually help you come up with a plan to migrate those workloads. And then we're working very hard on business insights, which will take all of the great information that's being gathered in ARIA Hub from the various different disparate clouds and disparate tool sets and bring you insights to across your environments that we would not be able to do without Hub and Graph. So if we go back into cloud services, CSP, cloud service provider again, and take a quick look in Hub, which is where Guardrails and some of these other solutions are going to be exposed. Here you can see what's available today. And so you can add AWS, Azure, or GCP accounts in here. It's going to give you an overview of those accounts. It's going to allow you to explore those objects in an inventory and actually build out visualizations of the relationships between those different objects. It's going to allow you to directly search with its query language various different for various different things in your environment that you might be looking for, to then from that build out relationships with other objects in your environment. It also has analysis of those objects for various different security findings, such as those that we have in our CIS benchmark capabilities, which you can then go in and take a look at where workloads or environments have drifted from any policy that you've applied to them. This is a really quick whiz through just to give you a sense of what's available, but Guardrails essentially allows you to create these templates that will apply these policies across your different cloud providers. And we provide a ton of templates, already curated templates, which you can then import to your own environment, modify, and apply to your environments. And then this is just, really quickly touching on ARIA migration. And then, of course, again, the resources for developers for the API first architecture and for the access to some of the great data that's now being collected in our graph data store. The beauty of this is that we're still building out these capabilities and that we're looking for input and feedback about which ones are most useful to you. And we have a freemium tier, which allows you to add 2 public cloud accounts and get some of the goodness through the freemium tier, things like the CIS benchmark assessments, but not necessarily the remediation, the visibility and the relationship mapping. And some of those other capabilities are available in the freemium tier, which we'd love you to take a look at. So Guardrails is also going to include these capabilities that come from what you may have recall were called Secure State. Previously, it's been rebranded as ARIA Secure Cloud, and those capabilities are moving into Guardrails. Really, our cloud security posture management solution that's been available for a couple of years and is really helping our customers to templatize policies and detect drift, to secure their configuration and make sure that the cloud objects stay in compliance with those configurations across the board, and various other things. A very powerful solution that is moving into that hub and graph framework. So that was a very quick whiz through the ARIA capabilities and the VMware Cloud capabilities that help you move to a cloud operating model and help you move to a cloud smart approach to the adoption of cloud services. But what do they give you in the long run? What do you gain by applying consistent infrastructure and consistent operations and management and consistent security and policy across these disparate environments? Well, it allows you to increase your efficiency, the efficient use of these cloud services. Instead of being bogged down and slowed down by the complexity of multi-cloud, the abstraction and the simplification of those environments allows you to do more with less and to improve the time to market with this consistent operating model. Some of those same benefits that you saw early with that first cloud experience comes back with a cloud smart approach. You're able to increase productivity and get more out of existing talent, because when you're looking at abstracting some of these environments and simplifying operations, definitely with VMware Cloud and having vSphere running across the public cloud providers, you're using the same tool sets and the same subject matter expertise as your on-premises environments, meaning that we don't have to spend time retooling, retraining, and some of those other things. You increase resiliency, and so you can plan for uncertainty and embrace change instead of resisting and fearing change, while adding ongoing protection. I don't have time to go into all of our capabilities today, but ransomware is something that continues to come up with our customers, and we have a really good solution with our VMware Cloud portfolio that protects you against a ransomware attack. Increase revenue by differentiating value, accelerating your differentiating value by increasing that agility of your developer teams. And that also allows you to compete effectively. Like we mentioned already, those that are quickest to adapt and adjust and first to market are the ones that really survive and thrive in this change velocity world that we live in today. So why VMware? Why VMware to help you manage your multi-cloud workloads when we don't have a hyperscaler cloud of our own to sell you? Well, that's exactly why you should trust us to help you with the management of these environments. And we're already, as I've mentioned a couple of times, the number one trusted vendor for your enterprise workloads. We understand your enterprise workloads. And we're already running them. And if we can take that knowledge and expertise and extend it across those hyperscalers, that just makes sense. We have the most comprehensive multi-cloud application services platform. So we can really help you reduce that multi-cloud complexity, as I've mentioned many times. Our solutions allow you to adopt the cloud at your own pace. So wherever you are in your cloud journey and whatever your application strategy looks like, we are there to support you in that. We will meet you where you're at. We secure your apps at every level of the stack. I didn't break out talking about a security pillar as a separate pillar because we don't consider it to be a separate pillar. We build it in throughout all of our solutions to make sure that it's there across the board at every level in the stack. And we have the most comprehensive ecosystem. We've always called ourselves the Switzerland of IT and of infrastructure, and now we believe ourselves to be, or we like to think of ourselves as the Switzerland of multi-cloud. That is to allow you the choice of the underlying hardware that you want to use, or now the underlying cloud provider that you want to use. And we ensure the interoperability across those underlying platforms and actually really help avoid lock-in too. We can avoid cloud lock-in if you're running vSphere across all of your different public clouds. It is easy to pick up and move those workloads as needed, or as I mentioned, even back to your own data center. But you don't have to take my word for it. What we would really love for you to do as an outcome of this session is to go and try ARIA Hub free tier yourself. Now, you don't have to be using vSphere, and you don't have to even be using any other ARIA solutions. Here, the Hub free tier allows you to add 2 native public cloud accounts, whether it's Azure or AWS or GCP, and it will map and create an inventory of all of the objects in that account. And so you will have the ability to go in and use that graph UI that will map out those relationships and help you really visualize those environments and how they interact together. You will get access into a couple of CIS benchmarks so that you can get a sense of how our benchmarking capabilities assess those environments and report on violations. Of course, there are remediation capabilities, not in the free tier, but the assessment capabilities are certainly in the free tier to be able to give you a taste of what that looks like. And really get visibility into your relationships and dependencies and policy definitions, and not just across your public cloud environments either, but we do allow through the free tier the ability to add a Kubernetes cluster to get a sense of the relationship topology mapping and the visibility that we can give into Kubernetes also. So please go ahead using this QR code or this link here, and go ahead and request that free tier environment. And as always, we're always happy to come and show you some of these capabilities directly and to talk to you directly. But go take a look at the free tier, the no pressure approach to having you take a look and see what these cross-cloud capabilities can really bring to your own environment. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you giving me the time to share some of our multi-cloud capabilities with you. And I would like to pass it back to you, Keith, to wrap up. Thank you, everybody.
Wow, thank you for that awesome presentation, Mandy. It was certainly an eye-opener for me about leveraging and managing multiple clouds. And it's clear that VMware, as it has throughout its history, basically remains at the forefront of innovation. I've covered VMware for a long time as a journalist, and they always seem to be thinking a step or two ahead, and I think that certainly is continuing to be the case. Just great stuff. Thank you again for all of that knowledge. And that is a wrap for today, everyone. But before we cut you loose, there's one more piece of business to take care of, and it is the Amazon gift card prize drawing. And we do have a winner. So the winner of today's $250 Amazon gift card is Jesse Meyer from Montana. Congratulations to you, Jesse. We'll be in touch very soon to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank VMware for making this event possible. And I want to thank all of you for attending and for just spending a little bit of your day with us. We do this for you, and I hope you got a lot out of it. Thanks again. And so with that, I'm going to let you go here. We will see you on the next event. Hopefully that'll be really soon. Have a great rest of your day.